You took his medal, didn't you, you pathetic worm? Richard's voice was a low, dangerous rumble, thick with suppressed rage. He stood, a formidable shadow blocking the light from the terrified figure. The figure, once boastful about their macabre finds, now whimpered. It's just a piece of metal. Worthless junk. Richard chuckled, a sound devoid of humor. Worthless? That medal represented courage, sacrifice, and a life given for this country. You stole from a man who can no longer defend himself, and tonight, his family is here to collect what's due. How did a desecrated grave lead to an entire biker chapter taking up a chilling vigil in a cemetery? It all started with a lost medal and a promise made to a fallen brother. Every small town has its sacred places. For Harmony Creek, it was the old military cemetery, a peaceful expanse of green where heroes rested under silent granite. Among them lay Sergeant Mikey Miller, a young man who had given his life for his country in Afghanistan. He was a local hero, beloved by all and a cherished member of the Iron Horseman Motorcycle Club's extended family. His brother Richard was the club's president. Mikey may not have ridden a bike, but his spirit was as fierce and loyal as any Iron Horseman. On Mikey's gravestone, carefully placed by his grieving mother, rested his purple heart, a symbol of his sacrifice, a medal he had earned through blood and courage. It was a pilgrimage site for many, a place to remember and honor, but not everyone who visited the cemetery came to pay respects. Willow Creek had its own kind of predators, the night crawlers, a notorious duo named Spike and Buzz. They weren't after money. They were after relics. They specialized in stealing historical artifacts from graves, medals, old uniform buttons, anything they could sell to morbid collectors online. They were ghouls desecrating the final resting places of the dead for a quick buck. They targeted Mikey's grave, not because it was old, but because the Purple Heart was new, gleaming, and easily detached. The next morning, Mikey's mother, a fragile woman who visited his grave daily, made a horrifying discovery. The soil around his headstone was disturbed, and the Purple Heart was gone. Her cries of anguish echoed through the silent cemetery. The police were called. They were sympathetic, but their hands were tied. "It's a despicable act, ma'am," the officer said gently. "But these kind of thieves are ghosts. They leave no trace. There's little we can do." The town was outraged but helpless. Who would stoop so low? Who would rob a dead soldier? Richard, still reeling from the grief of losing his brother, felt a fresh wave of blinding fury. This wasn't just a theft. It was a personal insult, a desecration of his family's honor. He stood over Mikey's grave, his eyes burning. He remembered a promise he'd made to his younger brother years ago. When Mikey left for basic training, "No matter what, Mikey, I'll always have your back." Richard knew he couldn't protect Mikey from a bullet in Afghanistan, but he could damn sure protect his memory. Richard gathered his club. 50 men, many of them veterans, their faces grim. To them, attacking a fallen soldier's grave was the ultimate disrespect, an unforgivable sin. Snake, the club's resident intel expert, quickly found online forums where grave robber relics were sold. He found photos of recent acquisitions, including a shiny new Purple Heart that looked suspiciously like Mikey's. They traced the online seller. The night crawlers. They were local. Richard looked at their profile, a picture of Spike and Buzz, two smug, greasy figures posing with their macabre treasures. He saw their location. A dilapidated trailer park on the outskirts of Harmony Creek, just a few miles from the cemetery. Richard smiled, a cold, predatory expression. "They took a medal from my brother's grave," he said, his voice quiet but deadly, "and the police say they can't do anything. Well, tonight we're holding a special kind of vigil. We're going to give Mikey a proper guard of honor, and the night crawlers are going to join us." The question wasn't if they would get Mikey's medal back, but what kind of honor guard an entire biker chapter would provide for men who dared to steal from the dead. Please click the subscribe button and show us your support so we can continue bringing you these stories. As the moon climbed high, two figures crept back into the cemetery, drawn by the lure of another easy score. They had no idea they were walking into a trap, a silent, deadly ambush set by men who considered this hallowed ground. Tonight, the night crawlers were about to learn that some graves are better left untouched. Spike and Buzz, emboldened by their previous score, returned to the cemetery. They had heard about a rare Civil War-era button on another grave, an easy grab. They moved stealthily, shovels in hand, their flashlights cutting through the gloom. As they approached their target, a low, guttural growl ripped through the night. Not a dog. Something far worse. From the shadows, from behind gravestones, from out of the thick trees, they emerged. 50 bikers. Silent. Menacing. Their faces were grim masks of fury. Richard stood in front, his eyes burning like coals. Spike and Buzz froze, their faces turning ashen. They were surrounded. Trapped. Spike tried to run, but a large biker named Tank effortlessly blocked his path. Buzz whimpered, dropping to his knees. "Please, we didn't do anything." Richard stepped forward, his voice a low, chilling whisper. "You desecrated the grave of a fallen soldier. You stole his purple heart, you spit on his memory. You spit on our memory." He then pointed to Mikey's grave where the disturbed soil was still visible, "and you came back for more." The air grew heavy with unspoken threats. The night crawlers realized this wasn't just a robbery gone wrong. This was a reckoning. The bikers didn't lay a hand on Spike or Buzz directly. Richard had a different kind of justice in mind. He forced them to their knees at Mikey's grave. "You're going to tell us where his medal is," Richard commanded. "And if you lie, we'll keep you here until dawn, digging up every single grave in this cemetery until we find it." "With your bare hands," terrified Spike confessed. The purple heart was hidden in a tackle box under his trailer. Richard sent 2 bikers to retrieve it. They returned quickly, the gleaming metal held carefully in a gloved hand. Richard carefully cleaned the metal, then, with a solemn reverence, placed it back on Mikey's gravestone. The act was performed in complete silence, the only sound the rustling of leaves in the night. It was a moment of profound respect, a silent promise to a fallen brother. Then Richard turned back to the night crawlers. "Now for your penance. You're going to spend the rest of this night and every night for the next month, doing what you should have been doing all along, maintaining this cemetery." The night crawlers were forced to clean every headstone, trim every bush, repair every broken fence post, and meticulously rake every leaf in the entire cemetery. Under the unblinking, watchful eyes of the bikers, they worked until their hands bled and their backs ached. If they slowed down, a cold stare or a quiet growl from a biker was enough to send them back to work. The word spread. News reporters, initially drawn by the theft, now found a much stranger story. The notorious night crawlers, under the silent supervision of the Iron Horsemen, had become the cemetery's unwilling caretakers. The stolen valor story from the previous video also resurfaced, strengthening the bikers' reputation as enforcers of justice. The transformation of the cemetery was remarkable. It became pristine, a true testament to the heroes buried within. Spike and Buzz, utterly humiliated and physically broken, eventually vanished from Harmony Creek, forever branded as the ghouls who met their match. They never robbed another grave. Richard and the Iron Horsemen continued their silent vigil at Mikey's grave, visiting often, ensuring his honor remained intact. The community learned a powerful lesson. Some things are more sacred than profit, and some promises are carved in stone. They showed that when ghouls stole a medal from a soldier's grave, an entire biker chapter would ensure that honor, respect, and a little bit of fear were permanently restored. If you believe in honoring our fallen heroes, please click the subscribe button and hit the notification